Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Turkovich, the Chief Medical Officer here at Oishei Children's Hospital. Today, we'd like to talk to you about the pediatric COVID-19 vaccine that was recently approved by the FDA and the CDC for children 5 to 11 years old. There are many reasons to get your child vaccinated from COVID-19. Personally, there's three main reasons why I got my children vaccinated for COVID-19. Number one, it was to protect them from the acute, severe potential effects of COVID-19, multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, and the potential long-term side effects of COVID-19 in kids that can occur in up to 10% of them that could potentially affect their long-term physical, mental, and cognitive health. But also, we got our children vaccinated because we wanted to protect others in our community. By getting more people vaccinated, we know we can decrease transmission and the prevalence of COVID-19 in the community. And also, we'll be protecting those in our community with weakened immune systems who may not mount a very strong immune response to the vaccine. So by doing this, we're protecting our children, but also protecting others in our community who are the most vulnerable. The other reason why we got our children vaccinated is because we wanted to make sure that they can stay in school. Once they're fully vaccinated, if they were to become exposed to COVID-19 and they remain asymptomatic, they no longer need to quarantine. This will allow them to continue on with their studies in school and in their extracurricular and athletic activities. Parents are very concerned about the safety of this vaccine, so it's very reassuring to me that the vaccine has gone through the same process through all the trials that every other childhood vaccine has gone through since vaccines have been developed. They've been through 3 phases of trials to ensure that they are not only safe, but also effective. This current vaccine from Pfizer was tested in over 2,000 children, looking at both the safety and the efficacy. It was determined that the vaccine is 91% effective in preventing infection in children 5 to 11. The safety profile is also excellent. What we've seen is that children have very mild side effects that are very similar to the side effects that we've seen in older kids and adults. So COVID vaccines went through the 3 phases of trials that all vaccines and medications go through. Phase 1 looks at a very small number of people to make sure that it is safe. Phase 2 will expand the number of people in the trials, looking at safety and some efficacy. And Phase 3 is where they greatly expand it to often thousands of people, looking at more rare side effects for safety and also really wanting to understand, is it truly effective? And the good news is we've had over 2,000 children ages 5 to 11 who've been tested, and it's been proven to be safe and effective. The interesting thing is, for children, they actually don't need as large a dose of the COVID-19 vaccine as older kids and adults. During the study, it was determined the safest and the most effective dose is actually 1/3 of the dose of the adults, 10 micrograms. So the good news is, kids don't need as much vaccine in order to get them the same protection that the adult dose does. This also means you can use a smaller needle and it doesn't hurt as much. Many of you know that we dose medications based upon weight, but vaccines are different. Vaccines aren't actually dosed based upon a person or a child's weight. And the reason is, vaccines are developed to correlate exactly with how well your immune system is developing and where it is in terms of its development. Your immune system starts developing while you're in utero, and it will continue to develop as a child and as an adult. The best dose of the vaccine is correlated to your age, not to your weight. And the Pfizer trials actually answered the question, what is the right dose based upon the child's age? And they determined that 0.1, or 1/3 of the dose of the adult dose of the Pfizer vaccine, is the safest and the most effective for children ages 5 to 11. So if you have a child who's bigger or smaller than the average 5 or 11-year-old, or a child who's about to turn 12, you can rest assured that getting this dose of the Pfizer vaccine is the safest and the most effective for your child. Unfortunately, we know that COVID-19 continues to spread. And as more older kids and adults have gotten vaccinated, the virus has been spreading more and more in younger children. We've seen that both in our country and across the globe. So it's really important, in order to stop the spread of COVID-19 across our community, to get everybody vaccinated that's eligible, including now 5 to 11-year-olds. One of the reasons my children in particular, and many parents, are excited about getting their kids vaccinated is because once they are fully vaccinated, meaning they've gotten their 2 doses plus 2 weeks, if they were to become exposed to COVID in school or any of their athletic activities and they remain asymptomatic, they don't need to quarantine. So getting vaccinated is a great way to keep your kids in school in the future in case they were exposed to COVID. Absolutely not. This vaccine will protect you from COVID, but there's nothing in the vaccine that would give you COVID. It's a very, very small set of instructions in the vaccine that tell your body how to make a protein that looks like the protein on the COVID virus. Then your body creates antibodies, things that will help fight off the COVID virus if you were to be exposed. So the good news is the COVID vaccine has no bits of COVID in it. It will not give you COVID. The side effects of the vaccine are very similar to what we've seen in adults. The most common side effect is pain at the site of the injection, and then also a small number of kids will get fatigue, headache, swollen glands, and sometimes they'll get fever and chills. The good news is all of these side effects are very easily treated with over-the-counter medications like Tylenol and Motrin, and often resolve within a day or two. Myocarditis is inflammation of the heart. You may have heard that some kids got myocarditis from the COVID vaccine earlier in the year. The good news is, in studies of millions of children, it's proven to be a very rare side effect. Estimates are 40 to 60 per million people who got the vaccine got myocarditis. And those that did got very mild symptoms that were easily treated with over-the-counter medications like Motrin and resolved within a couple of days. If you compare that to the myocarditis that can occur from acute COVID or from the multisystem inflammatory syndrome, that myocarditis is much more common and also much more severe. Sometimes it can actually lead to long-term side effects. So when you look at the risk and benefits of the COVID-19 vaccine for children, and you think about specifically myocarditis, the good news is it's number one, very rare related to the vaccine. And number two, if it does occur, it's easily treated, it self-resolves, and it's very mild. mRNA vaccines are really exciting, great newer technology for vaccines. So many parents are actually very worried because this is a new technology. And it's true, this is a new technology, but this is not the first time we've used mRNA. It's been used in a couple other settings in the past. It's actually been used as an Ebola vaccine back in the 2000s. And so the good news is we've had experience with using this technology in a vaccine form, and we haven't seen any long-term side effects associated with it. It's also been used in cancer treatment, in immunotherapy. And so the good news is, again, in that population of people who've received immunotherapy that was related to mRNA technology, we have not seen any long-term side effects. So the hypothesis is, and the likelihood is, that we will not see long-term side effects from the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. The good news is vaccines have been distributed across the country and across Western New York. Many pediatricians' offices have already received vaccine, and if not, they anticipate receiving them within the next couple of days. Also, the Erie County Department of Health, the other counties within Western New York, and New York State are planning vaccine pop-up clinics across Western New York. Also, many local pharmacies have received pediatric vaccine. So please go online, talk to your pediatrician. You will certainly be able to find it somewhere here in Western New York. I would certainly start with your pediatrician first because they are the best source of not only vaccine, but information for you and your family.